Long Take Review, where four college professors talk film, providing insight, not assigning homework. I'm your host, Jen Subchakshai-Bankard, and I'm here with three of my best hype men. First, he's asking us to trust him one last time. It's PT McNiff. How's it going, PT?
I have no regrets, and neither should you. I'm well, Jen. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited for our episode today. We'll have to see how messy it gets. And he's always scheming like a Phoenician. It's Greg Cass. How's it going, Greg?
Smart people on every side are close to panicking. I'm good, Jen, except honestly, I hadn't read the show notes and was about to say I'm asking you to trust me one last time and had to quickly go Google more Mission Impossible quotes. But I'm good. If my lack of preparation speaks to my headspace, then that is probably accurate, but I'm good.
It's all a good thing. And last but not least, he bet and won big on Wicked last year, but is he for good? It's Antonio Elefano. How are you doing, Antonio?
I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them and help them in return. I'm very excited to help our listeners get ready for this new season of movies.
Yeah, so those were all references, dear listeners, to films we haven't even seen yet, because it's time for our annual hype draft. So if you're joining us for the first time, you have no idea what we're talking about, welcome. And when we say hype draft, we mean the episode we like to do once a year where we compete against one another to pick our most anticipated movies slated for the rest of the year. So this is going to be sort of like a, fantasy football draft. A lot of movie podcasts do these kind of drafts in different variations. So this is ours, but for like what we're most excited about and what we think is going to turn out well in the movie year to come. But first, PT, if listeners think we live up to the hype after listening to this episode, what can they do?
If they want to draft us into their podcast feed, they should follow the Long Take Review wherever they get their podcasts. We host the feed on Jen's Substack at thelongtake.substack.com, but you can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, YouTube, and many more. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us. You can also find us on social media on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at The Long Take Review. And you can check us out on Letterboxd. The account is at LTRpod. You can also search for the hashtag LTRpod to see what each of us individually have been watching. Jen?
Thanks, PT. So the battle is about to begin. But first, we're going to take a look back at our draft picks from last year, because we on the show have no fear of shame. we like to kind of assess, think now that we've had a year to mull over our choices, where are we most satisfied and where are we full of regret. So what we're going to do is we're going to go one by one. We will each share the four draft picks that we had last year and kind of reflect on how do we feel about that now? Do we feel good about it? I think in some cases it will be yes. In some cases it will be a resounding no. So we'll start with me. So last year, my picks, and this is in order of rounds, my first pick was Blitz, the Steve McQueen movie everyone forgot about. Nosferatu by Robert Eggers, which did not get forgotten and actually got nominated for a few Oscars. Deadpool and Wolverine, which made a ton of money. And Bird, a movie I still have not yet finished. Andrea Arnold's. So I'm noticing this is the pattern I now have, and I'm really hoping this year to try to break this, but I have made a point to try to pick one film by a female director every year, and I've just managed to pick the wrong one. Like the 2 years ago, I picked Saltburn. And
what?
Well, okay, which Greg approves of, but everyone else doesn't.
Still rocks. Right. Rewatched it like 2 weeks ago. It still rocks.
Incredible.
I mean, it didn't get nominated for any Oscars, right? So and everyone kind of actually it had internet fame, so I guess in that sense it was successful.
Infamy.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
Whereas Bird just never even made it onto the. Yeah, Greg. Once Greg decides to claim allegiance for a movie, he just will never let go.
I seem to remember we presented at an academic conference about this very podcast, and the first question we got was, "Did you do Saltburn?" Am I remembering that correctly? I think
You
that's
are.
correct. Thank you, dear listener. I hope you're still listening and know you gave me endless joy. Sorry, continue.
That's all right. Well, so like I feel like this is a mixed bag. So Blitz, obviously, I liked Blitz. So I guess from a personal satisfaction level, I was okay with it, but it got very mixed reviews. Didn't make any like we thought. Remember when we thought Saoirse Ronan was going to get an Oscar nomination this year? That didn't happen. So so that one's kind of a wah wah. Same with Bird. I feel like I think I did try to. I watched the beginning and I enjoyed it. I just because it was the height of Oscar season where I was like, oh wait, there's this movie in my hype draft that I still haven't seen yet. Why is that? It's because it never got any traction in the awards race. So that's also kind of like wah wah. But then the other two I feel pretty good about, like especially in terms of the populist appeal. Like I think fans really came out for Nosferatu. It got some Oscar nominations. It was critically pretty well received. Deadpool and Wolverine, like some people thought it was silly, but I really enjoyed it. I was very happy about it. So I would say I'm kind of like a 50-50 here.
Nice.
Wants to go next?
I'll go. I for another list that has a lot of personal enjoyment, but not doesn't really extend outside of me too much. Is my draft order? Of course, my first round draft pick, the movie everyone remembers, The Lord of the Rings: War of the Rohirrim, which is the animated Lord of the Rings movie that came and went in this past December, but I had a good time.
Remembered mainly for its popcorn bucket. If I'm assessing it,
was it like a horse's head? I don't understand. What was the popcorn?
It was a battle hammer.
Yeah.
Oh,
and you filled the hammer head with the popcorn, and it was like 5 feet long. It was intense.
That's fun. Now I wish I had one of those. I enjoyed this. I keep thinking about dipping back and watching it again on Max because it does sort of show up with the other Lord of the Rings movies and gets a little bit like it's on the menus, and I'm like, well, whatever, throw on a Lord of the Rings story. It's not breaking any new ground. It's not whatever, any sort of fascinating thing. But if they wanted to just take a random like 2.5 pages from the Lord of the Rings appendix and make an animated movie of it every couple of years, I'd watch everyone. So I'm glad it's there. Round 2 was for the sickos. That was Kinds of Kindness, the Yorgos Lanthimos anthology that no one liked but me, and that's okay. That's not true. Jasmine liked it too. So we're just over here occasionally watching the dog segment on Hulu where it's just the dogs and what they're doing in the dream. So yeah, that one I was excited for it. I got to enjoy it. No, it didn't go anywhere. Despite Jesse Plemons and his the kudos he initially got for it. Third most successful, probably in the wider scheme of things, was I Saw the TV Glow, which is excellent movie. I believe was nominated for a few letters, won a screenplay letter from our esteemed group, and also got nominated for a bunch of Independent Spirit Awards. I don't remember if it won any, but it didn't break through the Oscars. But what a great movie. That was a really good time. So glad to have had that. And then my fourth movie was Evil Does Not Exist, which is the Hamaguchi, movie that I thought was excellent. It had a very limited theatrical release. It is on the Criterion channel for streaming, which some people have, but a lot of people who do have it don't look at the new movies that are on there because they're there to watch old movies. But it is on there. It is excellent. So I'm happy. I'm especially happy with those last two movies. I also like the first two while recognizing that they have very limited appeal outside of me. So I wouldn't call them successful hype picks if we do want them to be movies that other people might like. So I enjoyed all four, and I think two of them hold up as being pretty good picks. So I'm also in that 50-50 range with Jen, having seen 100% of all of these movies, for the record. No offense, Jen.
None taken. It's
Right. Since we're going on a 50-50 streak, let's go to mine. I had the first pick, which meant I was pretty much obligated to pick and happy to pick Furiosa for the very first pick in the draft. I'm just a huge fan of Mad Max Fury Road. But I was the lowest. I ended up being the lowest of all of us on Furiosa, not because it was a bad movie. I thought it was a good movie, but it didn't reach for me the brilliance of its immediate predecessor. It bombed at the box office and got no Oscar nominations. Um, then I started getting especially concerned. My second pick was Ella McKay. It is the only one of the 16 not to come out in 2024. PT and I actually did see it at an early preview screening. We are both not allowed to talk about it, but it didn't come out this year. It's going to come out this coming year, I think, right in 2025. So then
did not impress at CinemaCon, I will just say. It seemed like what they showed really turned off critics and I. Jen, is that your read on your
I heard that
podcast?
Too.
Yeah.
I will note neither Antonio nor I can draft it because we have seen it. So I don't know if that changes your board, Antonio, for this year's hype draft.
It's not.
Okay.
It does not change my board. Yes. Well, again, I'm not. I won't say.
PT trying to trick Antonio into breaking his NDA.
I know. Almost. Well done. All right, but the curse was finally lifted with movie 3. We Live in Time. I really love that movie. It wasn't a perfect movie, but it featured 2 really wonderful actors doing excellent work. It played with structure, I think, in an interesting way, and it made me feel something. And that's success to me, especially in this genre. And then the 4th movie, which was the last pick, right, of the entire draft, it was the opposite of Ms. Irrelevant. It featured one of the best performances of the year by Marianne Jean-Baptiste. This is Hard Truths. A brilliant character study that delved into the roots of really difficult people and how and why they are. So the last half worked out for me. The first 2, not as much. Greg, what are your thoughts on your draft?
I'm so glad you asked me how I'm feeling about my draft. I would sum up my feelings as saying I'm feeling mega lopsided about my draft. So I'm going to go ahead, though, and say we saved me for last because I'm going to declare victory here. And we can fight this out in a minute. But I think my slate came through strongest with one notable exception. So movie number 1, I had hope in the great master, Francis Ford Coppola, and that hope was misguided. So my first pick was Megalopolis. I believe this was the 2nd overall pick in the draft. Mm-hmm. I had hope. It felt good at the time. It did not feel good later. I will say he is here in Boston next week presenting it in person at one of the local movie theaters, and I thought it would be great to see Francis Ford Coppola, but I do not want to sit through Megalopolis again, so I will not be in attendance. Pick number 2 on my list, I believe, was 1 week after the draft, and this year would not be eligible because it would have come out like 3 weeks ago. And that was Monkey Man, Dev Patel's directorial debut. I will echo what was said about other movies. This was an imperfect movie, but I think one that was highly enjoyable, and I would say I at least saw a lot of potential here, and there were a couple really bravura segments that I was like, this guy's got it. If he gets another shot at this, he should get that. Yes, the drums and the fighting and really, really good stuff. I will say, just on a personal note, this has been the Blu-ray that I've picked up like 5 times in a store, and been like, I guess I don't really need it, right? Like it almost makes its way into the Target cart. I'm like,
and yet you're declaring victory.
And it's been on
unpurchased Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's been on Peacock all year, and I've thought, well, if I haven't hit play on Peacock, do I really need to own the Blu-ray? So that's become my new metric. So, yes. Number 3, my critical acclaim choice in advance. I'm actually the coolest of the 4 on this title, but it's Nickel Boys, which even though it wasn't one of my absolute top movies of the year, I think was a resounding success. And I think, again, a case where this filmmaker, this cinematographer feel like they're going to do really important things in the industry and in film. So very much a success. And then I was cooler, but I still thought it was a success. It's not like I didn't like this movie. And number 4, put away all those puns you prepared, PT, because this one didn't suck. It's Twisters. And this, Jen has rightfully claimed victory in the box office race because Deadpool and Wolverine did just clean everything else out. But I think this was hugely successful. It again, I would not say perfect. I have watched this one a few times, and I did buy the Blu-ray of this one. Steelbook, it's awesome. And it really is just a fun time at the movies. I think it helped solidify Glenn Powell as just pure movie star caliber talent at this point. Daisy Edgar Jones, I feel like we're checking in next week. End of this week when On Swift Horses debuts. Sorry if I'm spoiling somebody's draft pick, but it feels like it's a real test to see, is she popular, or is it just that she appeared in When the Crawdads Sing that everybody's book club read, and Twisters and so on. So we'll see what time will tell. But I like my spread. So again, we didn't really need to pick a winner, but I'll say I won because I got the greatest mix of Academy Award nominations, kind of debut promising filmmakers, box office success, and please don't remember the first movie I said.
Well, I mean, you could make the argument that Megalopolis was so bad that we had fun watching it and talking about it. So
it was memorable.
Yeah, it was very memorable, right? So, does anyone want to weigh in on who won? I just want to point out Greg has the only Best Picture nominee on his list.
That is a very good point. But I will say, I've looking at my top 10 of the year, looking at my rankings. There's only one person who has 2 movies in my top 10, and that is Antonio. So I will give the award to Antonio.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I think I like my movies the most as a group of 4, but the 2 I love from Antonio will tip me to say Antonio won.
Okay. Yeah,
for sure.
It's got to be between you two. I would say PT and I gracefully will bow out. We're not in the running, but I think when I'm looking at this grid of movies, I see Hard Truths, I see Nickel Boys. I feel like that automatically lifts both of you, Antonio and Greg, up to first and second. And that, I would say, because I'm Oscar biased, I would put Greg in first probably, and then Antonio second.
I'm just going to say it ends up being perfect because I end up with the slate that would impress the most normies and kind of sums up what it was like to go to the movies. And Antonio ended up with the slate that's like, okay, fine, but these are the actual good ones, which
real
is
ones.
Perfect. So I think that works out.
I love it. All right. So filing that away, we have to. I wonder if any of us thought about how to improve on our records. We'll see how that goes.
I think it's such a different year. I think it's going to be.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's going to be harder to pick.
All right. Well, let's get started with our 2025 draft. So let me go over the rules in case you haven't listened to one of these before. We are going to randomly decide a draft order, and we are going to do what's called a snake draft. So basically, we'll decide what order the 4 of us go in. Whoever is last will get to pick twice, and then we will loop back around to the person who got first. And then the movie has to be on record as coming out in 2025. There has to be some evidence that it's supposed to be coming out in 2025 for it to be eligible. We haven't really had a problem with that in the past. I picked Dune Part 2. It doesn't come out. Antonio picks Ella McKay. It doesn't come out. So I think more often than not, we
also directed Antonio away from picking what was then called SNL 75 and became Saturday Night, which led to him picking Ella McKay.
Okay.
Which
that's on us.
Well, I mean,
it's not on you. It's fine.
Yeah. So.
Because we thought it wasn't going to come out.
We didn't think it was coming out last. I mean, we just said that it might not come out, and he was like, "Oh, okay."
I loved Saturday Night so much. I would have let Antonio win if that was on his slate.
If that was on the list.
I'm actually just resentful that there are 15 movies on this set that I saw and only one I didn't. So, I'm pretty bummed about it.
Right, the completionist in you must be really irritated by that.
I know. I even watched all of Bird, Jen. You should check out the back half. It's pretty great.
Oh, okay. Right. I mean, I had every intention of finishing it, and then I just got distracted, and then the Oscars happened, and here we are. I'm making excuses. Anyway, I think that sums it up.
Implied in our last conversation, we are looking for some mixture of Oscar success, box office success, and critical reception. So we will evaluate these slates eventually on kind of a mix of those three criteria. And as you just heard us do, kind of assume, like the best movies have one of those lanes kind of locked up, we hope.
Yeah, it's a very holistic rubric that we're using if we're going to be talking to our students about how we're grading. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this very professional website called the Wheel of Names, which actually still has a bunch of my students' names in them because this is what I use to workshop drafts. That's the sound it's making, but only I can hear that properly. So first up is PT.
Oh, God.
Ooh.
No pressure. Second is Antonio. Oh, I'm screwed. My whole strategy's gotten blown out the window now. Okay.
You know why?
Greg is going third, and I will be going last.
I'd rather last than and get the turn than third.
Yeah, that's true. So
don't be too upset.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be able to do something with the turn. But my whole I had a whole strategy which I really hadn't thought about. What if I'm going last? But here we are. Okay, let's see.
As the person who went last year and ended up with War of the Rohirrim and Kinds of Kindness on the turn, it's crazy. It's a weird place to be in. So,
all right, PT, what's your first pick? I cannot wait to hear what this is.
I think I have to be honest with myself, and I have to be honest with the group. That despite whatever warning signs may be out there, or whatever may be a question mark around it, it is the movie I am most excited about, and it is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Oh, yeah, that was misleading. Okay.
I mean,
why are you concerned about it?
The trailer makes it look like Tom Cruise gets strapped into an AI and has to go into the AI, and was the worst part of the last movie. So I'm a little worried about that being a central sequence in this movie. However, like, these are incredible. Like, the last one was a bit of a step down from the previous few, but even then, it was one of my favorite movies of whatever year it was that came out. 2023, I think, was when Dead Reckoning came out. And these movies are great. I love these movies. I think we love these movies. Asterisk, I don't know if Antonio loves these movies. This might be a blockbuster franchise that he's not into. But three of us love them at least. And I'm excited to have this. I think this makes the most sense for the long take review hype draft, that this is the one that goes first.
Greg, do you need some tissues? Because
we were supposed to trust him one last time, and look where that got us. No, I honestly and sincerely, I think I would have been upset if this didn't go first. It's like Furiosa last year. It's just like the one kind of big blockbustery installment this summer that really feels like, it also scratches kind of the thinky parts of our brain too, with all due love to Marvel and other non-thinky franchises. So I think this is going to be phenomenal. I really do think it's going to be the end of this franchise, at least for a considerable amount of time till they call Jeremy Renner again. So I'm excited to see it as well. I've actually been counting down the days till tickets are available, because it's got to be soon. I think we've already hit the weekend before that, so it's got to be very soon that we'll get this weekend.
Do we know if they've kind of cleared the runway for the IMAX screens for a good while? Because I think the part of the problem with the release of the last one was because it was too close to Barbenheimer.
I believe they have. I believe they are theirs until Elio, and nobody's thinking big things about Elio other than the fact it's a children's cartoon. So I think so. Tom Cruise showed up at CinemaCon, right? And they did a very kind of overwrought tribute to Val Kilmer, but it was heartfelt and due. All respect to Iceman, right? Right?
Yes, Iceman.
Yeah.
So and Batman. But I think people are really excited for this one. I think I have noted that the kind of push to rewatch them all has been strong. They're floating around in the Letterboxd most popular again, and I think especially in the next few weeks. I've been doing that with my kid. Henry just watched Mission Impossible 4 with me 2 nights ago, and we had a great time. We talked about how if the Burj Khalifa fell over from our house where the top would land. And it was great. It was
Nice.
all I ever dreamed of as a parent. So, and my wife was also present. So yeah, it was great.
The second trilogy of 4, 5, 6 is in the conversation for the best trilogy of the 21st century, I think.
Agreed.
So, all right. So now I don't do anything for a really long time, and it goes to Antonio. Antonio.
So my strategy all depended on where I was relative to Jen, and because Jen falls after me, it is Wicked for Good. I had exactly like I have a ranking here. I have my draft sheet is ranked from 1 to like 15, but like I only have like 2 blockbusters and one of them is like 15. So I was like, if I can get in before Jen, it's Wicked. So Wicked for Good. I'm excited that there are actually new songs in this one. So I think that at the very least, I'll improve on my 0 Oscar nominations for this draft versus last year. I'm excited. I thought the first one was really terrific, and I'm excited to see if the sequel can live up to the original. I was like the most skeptical about this being divided into 2 parts, but the first part was really great. So why not have some faith that the second half can deliver as well? And I think it's pretty safe for box office, and then I don't have to worry about box office anymore because the rest of my list doesn't factor that into it. So Wicked for Good.
Yeah. This was a smart move. I was actually unsure how high up to put this on my list. It would have been pretty high. So this was still a smart move on your part, Antonio. But the thing is, I feel like based on what most people feel about the musical, a lot of people say that Act 1 is better than Act 2 of the musical, and that's basically Act 2 of the musical is the second movie. So it's a big gamble, I feel like, because they really have to land the plane perfectly for people to be like as enthusiastic about it as they were this time around. You know what I mean? So there's it's a high risk pick, but one that I think if it pans out is going to topple a lot of these other picks over for sure. So well done. And yeah, the new everything you said, new songs. I'm just excited to see like how are they going to top the press tour for this movie? You know what I mean? Like Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande were so iconic in terms of how they did so much promotion for Wicked that like I just don't know where we go from there. But I'll be excited to see.
I don't know if this will matter for the promotional tour, but I have been hearing people talk about the lead versus supporting roles may flip for this one. So I don't know if that changes how they, even if it will still be sort of their energies together, but it will be, if that's enough of a difference to not make it seem like it's more of the same. They're running it back and just doing the promotion again, but they get to have different conversations around it.
We joked a little bit about Megalopolis being like a defining experience of the movies last year, but that was definitely Wicked, and the Oscar ceremony, I think, cemented that it was one of the core experiences people had at the movies last year. I will say I did not hear a soul who saw the first one and regretted it. Right. Like, I think everybody will sign back up. So that I'd put in Antonio's favor. Against it, I would just say it's a lot more crowded this holiday season, whereas Wicked could kind of hang out for a long time last year. I believe Wicked for Good is another Thanksgiving release, right?
Yeah.
And we probably have some competition from a Netflix movie that may be drafted in this. I'm going to go out on a big old limb and say that there are some blue people who might go undrafted who also will take up a lot of box office in December. So we'll have to see. And we'll see if they get drafted, Jen. I'm not saying anything. You can do whatever you feel like and whatever the trees tell you to do. But yes, I think it's just a little more crowded. So the kind of phenomenal box office might be a little trickier this time around.
All right, Greg, it's your turn. I think I know what you're going to pick. We'll see.
I just went through all my Wicked notes, and I want to do this. All right. So let's see. Where are my notes for this? Let me blow the dust off. All right. So first on my list is I would like to draft Mickey 17. Oh, wait, we didn't do this in time. All right, I'll take Sinners. Oh, wait, we didn't do this in time. How did we not get these movies into the mix? I just want to plug that these movies came out and they were good. That's what my Foley work
we
is
will
about.
be reviewing Sinners, so you can look forward. We're hoping to do that next week. So if you're listening and you're like, "Where's my Sinners review?" I don't want to listen to you jokers talk about movies I haven't seen yet, right? Like that, it's coming. It's coming. And the other thing too, I want to plug since I'm plugging the show, we have a retrospective Mission Impossible episode that's really good. So if you are looking to do a rewatch and are craving some lead up hype rewatch sort of content, we have it for you. Continue, Greg.
Did we do a retrospective Oz episode? Oh, I guess not.
We should, because hasn't one of us not seen The Wizard of Oz?
Antonio.
Yeah, Antonio, right? Yeah. We can do that.
I'm just told that his draft pick is invalid since he hasn't seen Wizard of Oz. He's not allowed to have that. That would be fun, although I do think PT meant Oz, the prison show on HBO, not the movies.
Correct.
Oh, sorry.
Tom Fontana. Yeah, great show.
All right. Pausing so Jen can edit out my Foley work. Wonderful. I'm so excited that it is now my pick. So I will be picking The Phoenician Scheme, the new Wes Anderson movie. If this survived to me, there was no way I could not pick it, and I'm gonna let PT type that in so that I don't have to try to remember how to spell Phoenician. Look, a long time ago, Wes Anderson decided you're either one of my guys or you're not one of my guys, and I'm one of his guys. And the more he leans into his brand of wonderful, idiosyncratic filmmaking, the happier I am. I do think common wisdom would say he peaked with Grand Budapest Hotel, and it got into the Oscar race in ways that some of the others since then have not. But I actually think the last three have all been masterpieces in their own ways, especially rewarding of deep rewatching, Justice for French Dispatch in particular, which remains one of my favorite movies. I think it's actually in my top 4 right now. So Phoenician Scheme brings a couple newcomers into the fold and then just does the usual move of having a whole bunch of his cast of stock players. So new this time around, most notably is Michael Cera, who people are familiar with and is, seemingly playing a kind of goofy version of himself, wearing just an incredible hairstyle and some good clothes. And then also new to the mix is Mia Threepleton. Apologies if I'm saying that last name wrong. I believe people may know her from HBO. She's unknown to me, but is the daughter of Kate Winslet, who is known to me. And so that's exciting to get a little nepotism and fold people in. And then we got Scarlett Johansson, Benicio del Toro, Benedict Cumberbatch, Willem Dafoe, Bryan Cranston, and 57 other people who are just as famous as those I've listed. So it's going to be incredible. I'm sure it will be divisive. I am sure I will go to my annual ex-coworker hangout and they will again tell me how bad it is compared to old Wes Anderson, but I don't care. I will wear the t-shirt, I will buy the enamel pins, and I will be happy to do so.
Good for you, Greg. I think this looks great. I really liked the sort of I think the aesthetic is definitely Henry Sugar-esque in terms of how the coloration and stuff like that. And it has this kind of Indiana Jones-esque adventure, oh, you want the music. Well,
you said it.
I know, I said it. I don't have to play myself with the music. We will honor Indy at every opportunity.
Just started playing Great Circle. It's phenomenal. Wait, are we doing a video game spinoff? No, we're not. Okay, go ahead.
Long game review? Let's do it.
Wow. So this is actually going to be in competition at Cannes. Which honestly, I think just every Wes Anderson movie probably has. I didn't check that necessarily, but I think Asteroid City premiered at Cannes. I don't remember if it was in competition or not. But my favorite part of this trailer, because the trailer, it looks great, is when Tom Hanks and Bryan Cranston are playing basketball.
Yep.
And Tom Hanks just doesn't look and throws a perfect shot. It's perfect.
I don't understand the people. I understand there's people who maybe don't like Wes Anderson's style. I don't understand the people who seem to enjoy it or enjoyed it to a point and now are like, I don't like that he's still doing it. Where it's like, it's great. Like, and he's great at it. And it's not like it's static. It's always been evolving, adding in more elements, obviously expanding the roster of cast members and going off into different stories. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's great. This was high on my list as well. Once I had the first pick, I was like, well, here's a few movies I'm going to say goodbye to. They're never making their way back to me. And this was definitely one of them. It's a good pick.
Thank you.
All right. So it's my turn. So what's nice about going last, I'm realizing, is that you've taken some pressure off me in terms of like making competitive picks, because my prep for this involved talking to my dear husband, John, and talking about which movies. Oh, well, Greg's going to want to pick this, and PT and Antonio go, you know what I mean? Like I was trying to list off all these movies that I thought everyone else would want to pick first, but by way of being like, so I'm not going to pick those because I want to save it for them. And he was like, this is a draft. What are you doing? Like you have to, you have to pick those movies before they do. That's the whole point. So I'm really actually kind of glad that I don't have to, because a lot of the movies that I had on the section on my list titled Violent Steals would have already been chosen. So this is great.
PT, you saw them open for Radiohead, right?
Oh my God. That first album's incredible. They fell apart after that. It's STEEL though in the band.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh, okay. All right. That doesn't really help me understand the reference, but it's fine. Way to like break my momentum to introducing my pick. Okay, so there's several very much smarter picks in this, probably, especially if we're thinking about awards contenders. I'm just gonna kind of take a leap of faith that a lot of those are gonna still be there by the time it's my turn next. So, but mostly because I don't want PT to pick this before me, I'm gonna go with Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
Good one.
This is a movie that has been in development for over a decade, I want to say. And it's going to be on Netflix. It's supposed to come out in November. And the reason I'm picking this first is that this movie has to be good. Not just for me. And I don't mean that in terms of like, I am so confident it's going to be good. I don't mean it that way. I mean, in order for me to be okay, this movie has to be good. I'm going to be so upset if it's not good. So, and you know what? Who else is going to be upset that if it's not good? Guillermo del Toro. And it will haunt him for the rest of his days. And I don't want that for him, because he has said many times in interviews that this is his dream movie to make. He has in his house full of collectibles his prize item that's in the foyer of this like rain house that he keeps, where his family doesn't live in. He just goes there to hang out and draw and write and brood. Right? In the foyer is a giant Frankenstein head, which I have seen at the LACMA when they had an exhibit of all his stuff. Like he lent it for this exhibit and then it went right back to his house. So he has said that this is his favorite story of all time, and that for years and years he's always thought about and dreamed about making it, but ultimately kept chickening out because he was afraid that he wasn't going to be able to do it justice. And he was saying, well, once I make it, then it's either good or bad, and then I can't dream about making it anymore. So there's a lot on the line here, and so that's why I'm sort of like, this movie has to be good. So I'm trying to manifest. This is my number one draft pick. It's going to be good. I think at minimum, it's going to look really good and have the right mood, because I think Guillermo del Toro really understands the Gothic. That's his thing. And so I think at the minimum, it's going to be like a Nightmare Alley. Maybe it gets a one or two below the line nominations. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's the floor we're probably working with. It is going to be adapted from like a looser adaptation, which part of me was like, I'm a little concerned about that. Because I definitely have read him say, well, I would love to make like a trilogy of movies so that I have more space to tell the whole story. And now he's instead squishing Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein into one movie. So again, I have some this movie needs to be good. Like, I'm just going to keep saying that over and over again. But anyway, and the cast is going to be incredible. It's Oscar Isaac, Jacob Elordi, Mia Goth, Lars Mikkelsen, Charles Dance, Christoph Waltz. Apparently, Ralph Ineson makes a iconic cameo of some kind. So he's not listed in the cast, but he's supposedly shows up in the movie. So I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic. I love Guillermo del Toro. The end.
I do too. I think this is a pretty safe. I think this is a pretty safe pick. I mean, if Nightmare Alley is the floor, I think that's a pretty high floor. I like Nightmare Alley, and I love Guillermo del Toro. I think this is great.
I mean, this is a wonderful companion pick with your Nosferatu from last year because, like Dracula, Frankenstein is just a story people can tell over and over, and I'm always interested in seeing what their version is. And I feel like, yeah, even sort of generic Guillermo del Toro, if such a concept could exist, just Guillermo del Toro's aesthetic, telling the Frankenstein story, even if it's the most kind of boring version of it that he could do, would be very watchable and very enjoyable. And you know, he has obviously the potential to do a lot more. He successfully muscled Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride out of 2025. If anyone else was paying attention to the dueling Frankenstein movies, but that got moved to 2026. I assume partly because characters from The Bride of Frankenstein, the James Whale movie, are in this one. That's Christoph Waltz is a character who's only in The Bride of Frankenstein. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he comes up with. So yeah, you're right. This was on my list, and if you had let it sit for too long, you wouldn't have gotten it.
Okay. I'm glad that I made the right call in that sense.
Phenomenal pick. I do think this is good. I would put the floor at Shape of Water, probably. But that was a Best Picture winner, lest we forget. So, but I will say that, you know, I have a lot of hope for this. The cast, as you noted, I mean, it's not like Phoenician Scheme cast good, but it's a good cast.
It's quality, not quantity, Greg.
Devotees of Greg's personal biography will remember that I once met Guillermo del Toro at a screening and book talk to promote The Strain, and I was featured on Boston Latino Tonight as somebody who'd seen Guillermo del Toro. So if you want a funny clip of me on the internet, check it out. It's pretty great. But yes, he's awesome. I would do anything for Guillermo. He's a day one filmmaker for me. Absolutely.
Greg Cass saying,
Los realism magical.
Okay. All right, so I get a second pick because I'm going last.
correct.
All right, I just gotta. I prefaced my earlier pick with there are probably smarter picks, especially in terms of awards prospects. So now I'm gonna go full utilitarian. This is all with my brain and not and maybe a little bit with my heart because I am excited to see this movie. So I'm gonna pick After the Hunt, which is Luca Guadagnino's next movie. This is another team up between Guadagnino and Amazon MGM Studios, so it's sort of the same production setup as Challengers. It stars Julia Roberts, big fan, she's an icon. Ayo Edebiri and Andrew Garfield, which I know is a podcast fave. So
whoa! Ayo Edebiri's a podcast fave too.
Oh yeah. Also,
let's
yeah.
slow down. Just because she's Irish doesn't mean you can't mention her.
I still have yet to pre-record the dumb explanation for why that's a joke that we make on the show. If anyone's wondering, when we reviewed Gladiator 2, I was slightly critical of Paul Mescal, and now apparently I hate all Irish people. Thanks, Greg. Okay, moving on. So this is a thriller psychological drama about a college professor caught between her star pupil and one of her colleagues after a serious accusation has been made. I try to be vague. I mean, if you just look it up on Wikipedia, it spoils it more than that. But and so I don't know. I just feel like in the hands of Luca Guadagnino, this type of like thriller, and with this cast, I also want to mention Michael Stuhlbarg is in this movie. I don't think he has is a supporting role, but you know he worked really well with Guadagnino and Call Me by Your Name. So this comes out October 17th. I'm assuming it's going to show up somewhere on the fall festival circuit.
Luca just churning them out. Like good on him. This will be his third movie in like 15 months, I think, coming out. And yeah, this looks exciting. I'm always a little wary of the like college professor does the blah 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 stories, but like this feels good. This feels like I trust he will make a very interesting version of it. And though apparently not a podcast fave, Julia Roberts is a very, very exciting as a potential anchor to this movie and an anchor for a Luca movie. Like, I think that'll be really fun.
I have also heard buzz for her for Best Actress from some folks. So, yeah, it's exciting.
What's the word on the score?
Oh, it's Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross again. So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, let's go.
Nice.
Right? And yeah, so like I did a little bit of research in terms of two early Oscar predictions from the top pundits. This one consistently showed up on every list. So, all right.
Just
so we're
like
back to
Queer did.
Well, so here's the other thing. You remind fair. You reminded me of the other thing I wanted to say, which is going off what PT said with like Guadagnino keeps churning these out. He's being really prolific. I do think there's kind of like a rolling momentum for goodwill for him, and it might, if this movie is good enough, I feel like this could be his big Oscar breakout, right?
This could get the makeup nominations regardless of whatever happens with the movie, just because people kind of feel like he put out 2 movies last year that had real possibility for nominations and none of them came through.
I think I'm trying to remember who this was. I think it was the director of Companion, who might be named Drew Taylor, but he was on Big Picture getting interviewed, and he pointed out last year was an incredible year for final shots. And I just love this as an insight into like a number of movies, but like The End of the Brutalist, Drew Hancock, of course. I'm so sorry, but I knew that myself, and nobody Googled it and put it in the chat. So Challengers is chief on that list. Like the ending of Challengers is so incredible, that last sequence. So I do think that Brutalist, the end of it, and a few more, just really Complete Unknown, great ending. Anyway, well, I was really scared that when Jen was making her transition, she was about to say, and now for the violent steals. So again, I have like 8 movies that I desperately need to have and don't want anybody else to have. But I'm going to move to probably what is absolutely third on that list. What if I told you there was a movie coming out starring podcast favorites Kaylee Spaney and Andrew Scott and I don't know, Josh O'Connor from Challengers, and PT's favorite Glenn Close, and Jen's favorite Mila Kunis, and Antonio's favorite Thomas Hayden Church. All of your favorite actors are, of course, starring with my favorite actor, Daniel Craig, speaking of queer, in Wake Up Dead Man, the third in the Knives Out franchise. That's right. Greg's going, I like big casts, and I cannot lie this year. And you other brothers, you can't deny that you want to see this movie.
What is happening?
Johnson walks in with an itty bitty waist and puts. I'm going to stop. There are few franchises that have given me as much joy as the 2 Knives Out movies have. I think it's undeniable that the first one is nearly flawless. The second one can't quite rise to that level, but I do think it had a lot of fun. If you haven't watched Glass Onion lately, in the reign of oligarchs, boy, did Rian Johnson really tell us all what was about to happen and what was going on. And I have many times thought of that movie. So these are great. And I was just joking a bunch about the cast, but you can't deny the cast. I didn't mention Jeremy Renner, Josh Brolin, or Kerry Washington, who are all in this. But he's got this great mix of people on their way up, as was mentioned, and he's got a few in there of people who I would actually put Thomas Hayden Church in this category, like solid, very likable, kind of could use a break within the last few years. And maybe Glenn Close is in that category too. Those of you who didn't watch the Netflix original film Back in Action, starring Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx and Glenn Close, maybe don't know that she's due for a little something. So is it out of the question that this could get like a little Oscar buzz? Maybe, because it's got a little Netflix taint on it, but I think this is going to get a splashy theatrical. Glass Onion got put in theaters for a week, and they regretted not doing it for more than that. So I think all of that is working in my favor. If you would like to quit the draft after this rant about Wake Up Dead Man, you may.
Was that directed at us or the audience?
To whomever it applies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is great. I will admit, as soon as Jen stopped talking, I started typing "Wake Up, Dead Man" under your name, and then had to erase it to be like, "Oh wait, he didn't actually say anything yet." But yes, this is a great pick. As you read that cast, it's great. Like, there's a small part of me that's like, can all these people fit? Like, is it possible there won't be a satisfying story for, with so many people kind of crammed in? But I'm confident that Rian Johnson knows what he's doing. I think another screenplay nomination is always possible for these Knives Out movies. I believe Glass Onion didn't get one, but it was like right in the sort of jostling in the end, right up to nomination day. So yeah, I think that's possible. And we might be in a Thomas Hayden Church-assance, because he's also in Horizon and American Saga Chapter 2. That is supposed to come out this year. It was supposed to come out last year. Who knows if it's coming out? But he's in that as well as this. So good for him? Question mark.
Who's up next? I think it is
Antonio.
Right. So I'm gonna get back into my lane because I picked a blockbuster first. So I'm gonna pick, though, not maybe the film that you think I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick Jay Kelly. This is Noah Baumbach's newest. I love Noah Baumbach. I loved Marriage Story, The Squid and the Whale, two of my favorite movies. There's not much that's written about what exactly this movie is. It's described, though, as a funny and emotional coming of age film about adults, and that sounds like me, like it has me all over it. It stars George Clooney, Adam Sandler, Laura Dern, Billy Crudup, Emily Mortimer, Patrick Wilson, and Greta Gerwig. So
Yay.
So yeah, there were a lot of contenders here for what to pick when it came here. And I actually had something ranked slightly higher, but I think that ultimately this is the safer proposition. I think, especially given Marriage Story and how incredible that was, and how well that did the Oscars. So I'm going with Jay Kelly.
Now that you're describing it, I'm like, oh, I have heard people talk about this movie. I think is it co-written by Emily Mortimer, right? I want to say the screenplay. I'm going to look it up. Yes.
What? Okay.
I have the Wikipedia. Baumbach co-wrote the screenplay with Emily Mortimer.
Wow.
Do you mean Sally Hawkins? Sorry, that's a joke for people who saw Paddington in Peru.
Samantha Morton?
Paddington in Peru swapped Emily Mortimer for Sally Hawkins and didn't pretended we all wouldn't notice. Just continued on with the affair. This is a fantastic pick. I'm sorry, but it's definitely aiming for the big cast award in this as well, because you failed to mention Jim Broadbent in the mix as well. And fans of the television program Andor will see Kyle Soller. Cyril Karn himself is in this as well, who is a very memorable part of that show. So this is a great pick. And it's always great when Greta and Noah work together. They just bring something really wonderful to the proceedings.
At the risk of being Charlie Brown trying to get the football from Lucy, people are still saying, "Hey, this could be Adam Sandler's Oscar chance." we've been here before, but I've heard a lot of people being like, "Well, maybe this time," because he's been sort of deserving of a nomination but denied several times now. So,
and Conan giving him a bit at these last Oscars, almost felt like, "Hey, Adam Sandler fits at the Oscars." Like, what are we doing? I had this on my long list. It was in the category of unsure if it's coming out this year, which is a section I had. So I like that Antonio's continuing his tradition of a movie that's just a proper name that doesn't come out the year he drafts it.
All right, PT, what's your next pick?
Oh my God, I am very surprised at all these selections are good. This just underscores that this is a looking good as a year for the movies, because I was confident that these three movies I was trying to choose between wouldn't be here when it came back to me. I figured all three of them would be gone, but all these three remain. So I think for sure with my second
American Dawn parts 2, 3, and 4. But what order will you take?
Now, for my fourth pick, could I select the miniseries it will be turned into after the four movies are all out? But I'm going to start with a a what I think will be my Oscar play. All due respect to Mission Impossible, which the stunt category won't exist yet, so that might only get a couple things. So it's going to be Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another, which is looks really great. Obviously, Paul Thomas Anderson, high batting average for me anyway, and another not big, but yet still an excellent cast. Main character Leonardo DiCaprio also features Tiana Taylor, Regina Hall, Benicio del Toro, Sean Penn, Alana Haim, Wood Harris, who was Avon Barksdale on The Wire, for those who may have watched that. And this is allegedly lightly based on the Thomas Pynchon novel Vineland. Which, you know, and it seems to, based on the one trailer, the teaser we have seen, does seem to be based on, as Vineland was sort of the story. I have not read Vineland. I've never completed a Thomas Pynchon novel that's longer than 120 pages, which is The Crying of Lot 49. But every other one I started and was like, okay, this is intense. I'm going to come back to it. And I never did. But Vineland is sort of about these sort of paramilitary revolutionary uprisings from hippies. It was like 60s hippies at the time. But I don't know how that will be transposed, if it will be set in the 60s or early 70s, if it's going to be moved to now. I'm not certain of that. I apologize openly to Greg for still having never seen the movie Civil War, because I was like, I don't want to see a movie about a civil war in 2024. And now being like, can't wait for this movie about Civil War in 2025. That's by Paul Thomas Anderson, but it is by Paul Thomas Anderson. So I am excited for this one. And while I figure out what my next pick will be, I'll leave the floor open if anybody wants to say anything about this movie.
The trailer for this looked like more comedic than I was expecting in tone. And I've definitely heard critics sort of say that this is more Inherent Vice than all of Paul Thomas Anderson's other movies. Or I'm trying to, there's a clear counterpoint that I'm not thinking of, that people
like There Will Be Blood or The Master,
yeah,
or like serious American epics. Which
but
makes sense. That was also a Thomas Pynchon novel. So he has that, you know, register that it might be like that. But I liked Inherent Vice, so.
Yeah,
You're
I
saying
did too.
it's a penchant for Pynchon.
Oh.
Yes. I have to say I was more excited about this before the trailer. The trailer, and it's not, I mean, the trailer is just a teaser and it's more about flavor, but it's pretty overwhelming. I found, maybe this is just me sitting alone in a movie theater too often. So it made me a little more nervous than I had been. And partially, you know, Leo doing comedy hasn't always gone well. Don't Look Up, right? So I'm a little nervous, but you know, I'll be there. It was on my list, PT. I'm not diminishing your pick.
Well, Leo, The Wolf of Wall Street, I think of as a comedy. Is that a comedy? I don't know.
Has
I think in
comedic
that
elements.
register, I think. Yeah, this was on my list, on my long list too. So, and I love Paul Thomas Anderson. I get what you all are saying about the trailer, but I think this is a solid pick, PT.
Thank you.
Now to your next one.
Oh my God. So I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do something that almost feels like a direct attack. You know what? It sort of feels like a direct attack on Antonio. In a way, it's also a direct attack on Jen. And she did take Frankenstein. So I think that's going to be enough to get me to make this. And also for the balance, to sort of have a more balanced slate than maybe some of the other things I was going to take. I'm going to take Materialists, which is the next Celine Song movie. It is a romantic comedy, potentially dramedy, but it does look very much like it would be kind of like, oh, this is a standard fare, like 2003 romantic comedy setup and cast of stars, except for the fact that it is written and directed by someone who wrote and directed one of our collective favorite movies of the decade, Past Lives. And it's a story of a matchmaker who has who's played by Dakota Johnson, who has a person to match, who presumably she develops emotions for, played by Pedro Pascal, having a very busy year. And then a cruddy old boyfriend, or what she thinks is a cruddy old boyfriend, played by Chris Evans. desperately looking for a non Steve Rogers and a non Knives Out successful movie to be in. Anyone want to add anything?
Can I ask a question? Where is the collective group at on Dakota Johnson? Because I don't think I can figure out where I'm at on Dakota Johnson.
I don't love Dakota Johnson. This is part of the reason. And also, I didn't love the trailer for this either. I don't know how much of that was just that I think she's fine. Like, I don't dislike her, but she's not an actress who makes me very excited. And like, especially after Greta Lee and Past Lives, I I was excited to see who the next choice would be for a lead actress to pair with Celine Song, and wouldn't have been my pick. I'm still going to be there. I'm excited for it. I'm going to watch it. It was on my list, but there was something that held me back. There's a reason that we went 2 rounds and I didn't. Although I would have taken it next if PT hadn't just taken it. So smart pick. What do you all think? The rest of you on Dakota Johnson.
I have really liked her when I see her in Sundance movies. So I think the type of movie largely depends on how I feel about her performance. She had a really good streak 2021 and 2022 where she had The Lost Daughter, Cha Cha Real Smooth, and Am I Okay? All movies that I think with decreasing levels of notoriety, but all movies that I really enjoyed when I saw them and I thought she was very good in. Yeah, I think the world is kind of undecided about her, right? Because there are people who are very fervent, passionate fans of hers, and then she's in Madam Web, and everyone's kind of like, "Wait, what?" So
she's even like, "Wait, what? What is this?"
Yeah, right. That's true. That is true.
She has a little bit of the Natalie Portman vibe, where if she's in a movie and doesn't respect it or doesn't feel like she knows what's going on, she looks like she's checked out. And kind of looks like she's just trying to get through it and she needs maybe like really good material and or a really strong director to ground her. So I'm hoping with Celine Song, she'll get that, like both the material and the directing. But yeah, it's fair. I don't think I've ever been like, yes, this worked 100%. I love that this movie was great because Dakota Johnson was in it. So
I love Cha Cha Real Smooth, but I remember Cooper Raiff from that. I love The Lost Daughter, but that's the Olivia Colman. Jesse Buckley movie. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I guess that brings up the question: can she really be a functional lead in a movie? Because we like her in more supporting performances. So yeah, that's a fair point. I'll be there. I think Celine Song, honestly, that because Antonio poses a good question. Like, if I had seen the trailer for this and didn't know Celine Song was the one who directed it, would I be as interested? I think the answer is no.
Same.
But still, it's Celine Song. So
but guess what? She wrote and directed it.
Yeah. So we'll be there. Yeah.
Does anybody know the timing of this? Is this the deal she made because of Past Lives, or is this like she had this on the books and kind of went this more commercial route because this was what she could get made before Past Lives got some heat?
It was announced in February 2024, and Past Lives was the summer of 2023. So I don't know if she wrote it before then, but she got the deal for this as sort of the step up movie from Past Lives, presumably like a bigger budget. And maybe it's going to aim to be more mainstream, it seems.
I think it definitely could be. This feels like it's trying to have more commercial appeal than Past Lives and be less art house, more mainstream.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's a real test of, does the rom-com crowd come back to theaters? Because this could easily be a Netflix movie. And one of the worries about that genre is there's not a lot that makes rom-coms feel like you have to see them on a big screen, usually. So I think it's a really interesting test. Somebody on this call, I don't know who, likes to text the group whenever he sees the trailer. And it's actually surprisingly frequently that this trailer is now out there playing before things. So the studio seems to be pushing it pretty hard. I would say we're also in this kind of nice sweet spot of some adult movies right now, and so they're attaching it to adult movies versus not
it's
50
not
Shades.
Sexy, BT. It's not that level of sexy. Calm down.
She's been there, she's done that. But in movies that are tipped towards adults, your Black Bags, your Sinners, I've seen it a lot of times attached to these. So I think they got it, and they're just hoping that crowd shows up and isn't taking their kids to see Pixar and other films.
It also has a very similar release date to Past Lives. It's June 13th,
Yeah.
which I think is when Past Lives came out. So
Yeah, it is up against the live action How to Train Your Dragon.
okay, it's good counter programming.
Right. Yeah.
This is for the adults. This is for the grown-ups. The people who watched How to Train Your Dragon originally, who are now in their mid-20s, they get to go see this movie.
So they're hoping the competition is rather toothless.
Oh.
Wow.
All right, move on
today, folks. All right,
Antonio.
So Antonio, PT clearly thought he was stealing this movie from you. It sounds like maybe he wasn't. What's your next pick?
So, I mean, this would have been my next pick if he hadn't picked it, but it was, again, I'm pretty happy with what I get here, which is The Life of Chuck. I can pick The Life of Chuck, right? Okay, because it hasn't come out wide. Yeah, it won the audience award, right, at the Toronto Film Festival. It's directed by Mike Flanagan. It's described as a life-affirming, genre-bending story based on Stephen King's novella about 3 chapters in the life of an ordinary man named Charles Krantz. It stars Tom Hiddleston, Jacob Tremblay, and Mark Hamill. It looks the trailer doesn't give away much about what exactly is going on, like what the basic plot is, but the vibes from it seem like it's gonna make me feel stuff. And I think it looks a fairly safe proposition, maybe an award contender. Audience award at Toronto is always a good sign. So I'm excited for this. I think it's. I think this is a fairly safe pick. At the very least, I'm intrigued to see it as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'm excited for this too. It's unclear how they're going to market this movie. Yeah. Are they just going to lean on "Don't you want to see Tom Hiddleston dancing"? That would work on me. So, yeah, I think because when is this coming? This is coming out at a weird time, isn't it?
It's
pretty
soon-ish. It's in May.
I think it's in mid-May. Yeah.
Oh, June 6th is the.
Oh.
That's mid-May on this year's calendar.
Yes.
This trailer is also in heavy rotation all of a sudden. The cast is very excited about it. I find it hilarious. This is specifically to your question, Jen. How do they market this? It's like from the visionary mind of Stephen King, and then it says author of Shawshank Redemption,
Yeah.
The Green Mile,
Stand by Me.
So it's very clearly like not that Stephen King, but also yes, that's Stephen King, which is hilarious. But actually, for me, reading Stephen King kind of haphazardly, I actually prefer him in that register than I do the kind of horror stuff. So, I think if it's of that lineage, which is what they're trying to sell it as, that should be very good. On a personal note, I had a very dear uncle who passed away unexpectedly in his mid-60s, so a little young. And Mark Hamill looks exactly like him in this movie and is giving that kind of wisdom-y mentor role in the trailer. So I kind of tear up every time thinking about my uncle, but also thinking about Mark Hamill in that performance. And look, it's a huge long shot, but like a Mark Hamill Best Supporting Actor would make my life. It would make me very happy, and I think he's a deserving person. He's kind of been through it the last couple of years, putting himself out there politically a lot, and not winning, and it's hard to kind of watch your hero's age, and yet he's done so with grace and dignity, and I think it would be great for him. So I'm for that. I will be remiss to say, in the book, because we should have a book club about this because it's very short. It's a novella. You can read it very quickly. There's a scene, the aforementioned dancing scene is described at happening on a very specific spot on Boylston Ave in Boston that mentions all the specific stores in a row, and I knew exactly where it was. I could go stand you all right on that spot, and the trailer makes it clear it was shot on an Atlanta backlot somewhere. It's not at all on that street, and I was very bummed. But me and the 3 other people who care about being near that Walgreens on Boylston Street will be upset and march out.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That it was like, it's like the shots of New York with the mountains in the background, which is always a bummer. But shout out to Mike Flanagan, who has just been churning away excellent Netflix content, which is not always words that go together. But the Haunting series, Midnight Mass, are excellent shows, and he has also done a couple of very strong adaptations of Stephen King stories that are more in the creepy, scary vein. He did Dr. Sleep, the sequel to The Shining, and he also did Gerald's Game, which is a great little mind screwing, somewhat supernatural or hinting at supernatural element story. So yeah, I'm excited. It's been great to hear that there's a response to this movie from the Toronto Film Festival. I think it might have played at one or two other places that seem to exist outside of the existing fandom of both Stephen King and Mike Flanagan. So,
Greg.
All
Greg,
right.
what's your pick?
So I am in what I lovingly call the Antonio section of my list, which is I was gonna say I checked off my blockbuster. I actually didn't, but we'll call Wake Up Dead Man a blockbuster because I want to move on to small. This is an exceptionally good year for some of the best smaller scale filmmakers doing their work, and so my list, I have like 5 here that look to me like incredibly beloved, critically acclaimed small movies that make about $10 million if they're lucky. So I want to celebrate those movies, and that's what I'm talking about. So I'm going to look at this list, and from it, I will select. I'm going to go with The Mastermind, which is the new movie from Kelly Reichardt. And I find Kelly Reichardt to be an incredible filmmaker. I made her one of my letterbox projects last year. And particularly, there are a lot of good ones, but First Cow is so fantastic. Showing Up was really good, her most recent. And I know PT just watched Certain Women because I badgered him enough that he wanted to check it out, which is also phenomenal. A really good Lily Gladstone performance. And I saw Lily Gladstone's new movie. She's phenomenal. I continue to love Lily Gladstone. She should have won last year. But Kelly Reichardt always makes these intimate portraits of very real characters and very real people. And I really love her filmmaking. So The Mastermind stars for apparently my second pick of the night, Josh O'Connor in another movie. And Josh O'Connor with Kelly Reichardt is enough to certainly get me there. You also have Gabby Hoffman, who I think was most prominent on Girls, in my mind, at least. I don't know what else she has done. Alana Haim coming up for a second time tonight. Hope Davis, who was in Asteroid City, among many other things. And John Magaro. Where's that name from? So I think this is a nice. It's not a giant cast, but it is a high quality cast of some really good picks, and I would see anything with Kelly Reichardt's name on it. So I'm going to take The Mastermind for my next pick.
I love it.
Excellent pick. One other Kelly Reichardt movie I really love was Wendy and Lucy. Michelle Williams and Kelly Reichardt are always a dynamite combination. But I like Abby Hoffman too. Wasn't she in the? There was a Joaquin Phoenix movie. Come on. I think that she was in that and very good in that.
That's
right.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, that's. Yeah. I think that's an A24 release. What a great studio! Just bringing all the hits. So yes, excellent pull.
You mean hits like The Materialists?
I was somewhat prepared for Greg's entire draft list to be all A24 movies. I feel like that could have been a bit that he committed to. I'm kind of glad he did, though. All right.
Warfare, also really excellent. Not a 5-star, but like a 4.5 banger. Warfare is intense, but very excellent.
I will say Mastermind, great. Kelly Reichardt is always quality. I need to see more of her movies, but the movies I've seen are excellent. My only caveat / competitive nudging here is no guarantee this comes out this year. It's playing at Cannes, but no actual release date necessarily. Presumably it would come out. It's a Mubi has it. So I think Mubi would want it as an awards push for the fall. So I don't think it's like a bad pick in that regard. I'm just noting so I can gloat later if we come back and it hasn't come out.
Mubi, again, A24 is your grade A, but Mubi is making a lot of really exciting moves, and they're really fun to be watching what they're acquiring. I think the play they made on The Substance was really well done, so I am excited to see more and more of their taste kind of shaping what they release and so on. So noted, and I don't know, still excited. So there, haha.
All right. So
Jen,
it's back,
hit us
it's
with
back to
two.
me. Yes. So I'm going to, again, go with my, wave my Oscar pundit flag with this next pick. I'm also very excited to see it, but that the primary reason I think it's a smart pick here is because this is my prediction for what will be at least one of the international features that becomes ends up in the best picture lineup, because we have been trending more and more towards that. We had 2 of those this year, and that the film that I'm saying will do this potentially this year is Sentimental Value, which is Joachim Trier. The last film that you might have seen from him is The Worst Person in the World, which I really, really enjoyed and thought was a great movie. It got nominated for international feature and original screenplay, I believe. A lot of people thought the star Renata Reinsve would be in Best Actress. She didn't quite make it. So I feel like, yes, again, this is kind of like there's goodwill from The Worst Person in the World. And if this movie is good, it could really kind of catapult us, these folks, to the next level in terms of Oscar success. The film is a family drama that actually takes place, I believe, in Norway. It stars a Skarsgård. I gotta look up which one.
It's Stellan Skarsgård.
Thank you.
Papa Skarsgård.
Yes, Papa Skarsgård. Luthen himself from Andor. A lot of Andor actors popping up today. And Elle Fanning and Corey Michael Smith. So it is but it is not in English, is my understanding. So it kind of is interesting because it has like a slightly more American cast, or at least cast of people who are recognizable to Americans, maybe is the better way to say it. But I think the idea is that it's a family drama where Renata Reinsve plays an actress who has estranged from her father, and then who's still in Skarsgård, and then he shows up, and then conflict ensues. So I'm really optimistic about this. I think it's it's going to premiere at Cannes. It's in competition at Cannes. So here's the thing that I couldn't quite get to the bottom of in a way that I could confidently say this, but I believe this is a shared distribution from both Neon and Mubi. So
Well,
I don't know if it counts as this is the one that Neon's going to win the Palme d'Or for, but I feel like if Neon has a big enough role in this movie's campaign, it could be the next Palme d'Or winner that then goes on to the Oscars.
Just looking at the Wikipedia page, Mubi has territorial rights that do not include America. United Kingdom, Ireland, 2 different places. Latin America, Turkey, and India. So
right, so Neon presumably that means
Neon's
North
America.
North America, yeah.
Neon not listed on the Wikipedia page right now, but that, I don't know who's sitting there updating the sentimental value.
Wait, but one of the articles that's cited on the Wikipedia page is Neon takes North American rights to Joachim Trier's Sentimental Value. So,
well, okay.
I guess that's the answer. I didn't notice that earlier. So, yeah.
Done.
So, yeah, this is my big Oscar player. Hopefully it's also really good.
I like it. This year's Anatomy of a Fall. Smart.
I mean, if this had been available in the fourth in my next turn, I probably would have taken this one. I love The Worst Person in the World. I thought that was just an incredible film. So great pick, Jen.
Thanks. Oh, and I get another one. Sorry, I was going to wait for the person. Okay, so now that I've impressed you all with that pick, I'm going to go to the bottom of the barrel and pick something that's just for me. And that is probably not going to win me anything. And I'm going to go with Edgar Wright's The Running Man, starring
hell yeah,
Glenn Powell. And this is because I have very fond memories of the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie from 1987. I know Greg won't understand. He somehow doesn't like 80s movies. But this movie I watched as a kid a lot. And I think you could argue is what got me into hard sci-fi. Right? Because I had to be very careful about how I word that, because obviously Star Wars is there and is a huge influence. probably the biggest influence on my movie watching. But Running Man from the 80s with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And like, we don't have Hunger Games without this movie, right? So I shouldn't be picking this. This is a not smart pick because it's a remake of the 80s movies. But, I think Greg said it earlier, Glenn Powell, movie star on the rise. I think he could be enough to carry a version of this movie. I think the cast seemed really crazy for this too. Hold on, let me pull it up. But respond.
First of all, from the visionary mind of Richard Bachman, aka also Stephen King. So this is from one of his other collections of short stories under a pen name. The original, the movie it's a game show in a dystopian future in the Schwarzenegger movie that was in 2017, which got a little bit close to home. And oppressive totalitarian regime runs America. We have essentially American gladiators, but it's actually like murdering gladiators, and they're being killed out there, and you got to run. Hence the Running Man. Schwarzenegger, the main competitor, is going to be played by Glenn Powell, who apparently is more in line with the character in the story. It wasn't really one complaint people have about the original is that Arnold doesn't really fit the mold. But the game show host in the original was Richard Dawson, the original Family Feud host, just acting as himself basically, but playing a big game show host. In this movie, that's Coleman Domingo, which sounds
yes.
Awesome. And directed by Edgar Wright, who can make excellent movies and has also made other movies.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I couldn't tell you what tone I think this movie is going to have based on all the information I have about it, but I don't care. I'm excited for it. And the supporting cast, Katie O'Brien, which I know Greg is always singing the praises of.
Twisters reunion.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And Josh Brolin, Lee Pace, Michael Cera, Amelia Jones, who's from Coda, I believe, and William H. Macy, Sean Hayes. How did he end up in this movie? Of Will and Grace fame, I suppose is what I should say. So yeah, I
less fame more recently.
I will believe in this movie until I'm told otherwise.
If there's one thing Edgar Wright can do, it's action and making interesting camera choices and doing visual storytelling. And this feels like the kind of sci-fi story that matches up very well with that. And there was positive reactions to the CinemaCon footage that was shown of this movie. So it was one of the 4 movies I had left, Jen. You're not the only one.
Okay, good.
If it's not clear from all the thoughts I had already lined up about Running Man, I was also thinking about this movie.
All right. That means I'm done. That's so weird. There's so many movies on the cutting room floor. You have no idea.
We'll do honorable mentions in a moment to see what goes undrafted. PT, just what Edgar Wright movie is at the bottom of your list? I got to know.
Oof, probably Last Night in Soho. I wanted to love that, and I didn't.
Okay.
And the problem is, what I was thinking about it is that Baby Driver and Last Night in Soho did both feel like each of the sequential steps down. So I'm a little worried, but I'm confident he can pull it together.
Running Man feels like it would benefit from a lot of the editing techniques on display in Scott Pilgrim or in the television show. So I do have hope for that as well. Gosh, I just want to acknowledge, since I noted my blockbuster category was unfulfilled, unless Phoenician Scheme really knocks it out of the park. There are a lot of good blockbusters out there, but as I'm looking at the year to come, I'm not that excited about them. That's not what's getting my motor running. So I am staying in my Antonio lane. So I'm going to go with The History of Sound. And so The History of Sound is an incredible short story collection. I think I've disclosed this before. Maybe I should disclose this all the time. My wife works for Penguin Random House. And so as a part of that, she published this her company published this short story collection, and she said, "Hey Greg, check this out." And I listened to the audiobook of The History of Sound, and it is one of the most incredible, beautiful books I have ever experienced. I then recommended it to my 2 immediate goofy buddies that I hang out with and talk about Star Wars a lot. Both of them listen to it and love it. So I posted it on social media, and all of my cool grad school friends, all of my cool writing department friends, all my cool, like, hey, we got an MFA and had to settle for working with you type friends, all thought this book was incredible. So maybe I'm going overboard and just endorsing the book too much. But The History of Sound is an incredible book. It's written by Ben Shattuck, who is a great writer and known for many things, but also happens to be married to Jenny Slate, who seemed to use her Hollywood connections to get people like Nick Offerman and Ed Helms and Jenny Slate to read the audiobook, and it's really great. So the film, they've chopped off just one of the many stories in the book. The book has a structure. It's based on an old New England poem where you have a first line, and then you have a series of, I believe, 6 couplets, and then the final line loops back to the beginning. It rhymes with the first line, and the short stories mimic that structure. The History of Sound film just takes the first and last stories and seems to be merging those together to tell a story. And those were really wonderful stories in the book, and I'm really excited. I mean, I love Cloud Atlas. I love like really complicated construction, so I would have loved if they did the whole thing. But I'm really excited about this film. So it is directed by Oliver Hermanus. It is written by Ben Shattuck. It looks like he is getting credit for the adaptation. And it stars somebody named Josh O'Connor. Man, what a year that guy is about to have. And Jen, can you see on IMDb what's the name of his co-star in this? Do you see it?
It's Paul Mescal, and this is exactly why I didn't draft this movie. I really wanted to, because I was trying to avoid the silly anti-Irish fallacies that Greg
Paul
cast.
Mescal, who is incredible. All joking aside, all miscasting question mark in Gladiator aside, he's a great actor. He's a treasure and does great work. And the two of them together in this movie will be phenomenal. So I'm going to stick with a quieter slate this year. But if all I earn with this slate is my own self-contentment and a nice smile as I sit alone in these 4 movie theaters, I will be happy.
This is a great pick. I have 2 rhetorical questions to put not at you, Greg, just out into the world. One, is it too late for Wes Anderson to do reshoots to get Josh O'Connor into the Phoenician scheme so you can go 4 for 4 on your lineup? And 2, does it do a good job of undermining the Jen doesn't like Irish people to reject Irish people and turn her back on them? I don't know. Mescal and O'Connor, both of them rejected by Jen to show she likes Irish people. But no, this movie looks really interesting, and I think you've got a proven track record of selecting a movie based on a book that you really liked that worked great. For Nickel Boys, probably certainly one of, if not the top movie selected last year in our across the whole draft. So exciting.
And in case anyone's wondering, the premise of this movie, it takes place in World War I, and it is a romance about 2 men who meet during World War I, and they go around England recording folk songs. Like, this movie sounds great. I'm on board. Despite what any of the other people on this call might say, I really like Josh O'Connor and Paul Mescal, and I'm very excited to see them in a movie together. So, and then we should mention the other film that Oliver Hermanus did most recently was Living with Bill Nighy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm also kind of side-eyeing Greg's lineup because are you in the meme where the guy is looking behind him and it's Mubi and A24? Like, what is happening?
A24 has had some great releases already this year, but I am a little nervous about, like, say, The Legend of Ochi that is dropping this weekend, and a few others of their picks. But you know what? I'm still a card-carrying member. We're there. You can carry a card from Mubi and A24. They would be appreciative. So, yeah, take that.
All right. So now it's my turn. My last pick. I'm going to stick with literary adaptations starring Paul Mescal, and I'm going to go with Hamnet, directed by Chloe Zhao, the director of Nomadland, the Oscar-winning director of Nomadland. This is the story of Agnes, the wife of William Shakespeare, as she struggles to come to terms with the loss of her only son, Hamnet. It stars not only Paul Mescal, but Jessie Buckley and Emily Watson. So I'm very curious. I really like Nomadland. I'm very curious as to what the follow up would be. I didn't realize this until I was researching that this was coming up, and with that cast and with that with those literary roots, I couldn't resist. So Hamnet to close out my slate.
This was on my list too.
Absolutely beloved book is what my understanding is. I have not read this book, but it was on my list as well. Jen, it was on your list? That's crazy. But yes, sounds like it will be. My fear when a book is that popular that it might be more that book club lane, but that usually means good box office, even if it doesn't necessarily mean like Oscar race. So I think it's a great pick. And Jessie Buckley's another. She hasn't come up a lot on the podcast. I would say sometimes her taste can be a little off. I'm looking at you men, not you men, but the movie Men. But I do think she's fantastic and elevates whatever she's in. So she should be fantastic.
Chloe Zhao also really due for a comeback because she did so well with Nomadland and then made Eternals for Marvel, which flopped. And then she just kind of went into hiding, it seems like. So hopefully this can be her triumphant return to form in terms of like she's making a movie that is not only going to do well, but she actually enjoys making or something. You know what I mean? Like that brings her joy.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those ones that was talked about like when it was even being just the rights were being acquired as like, this is going to be a great movie. And this is going to be like an awards contender movie. And then Chloe Zhao signed on to direct it. Then they cast Paul Mescal and Jessie Buckley. And people were like, oh, let's go. This is going to be incredible. And, movies about William Shakespeare have been successful in the past at the Oscars. So who knows? But yeah, this is very exciting. I think this could be a good movie. I'm excited to see when it comes out. Date undetermined. I'm not trying to be the release date police, but I am doing that. So
it did wrap though. It wrapped filming, so I think it's coming out.
And it's been like everything I've seen about like what might be in the running for next year. It keeps coming up as like this is probably in the 10 for Best Picture, presumably at this point. So there doesn't seem to be any question it's coming out this year. It's just unknown when.
Yeah, my guess is they're kind of shopping around what festivals what festival to premiere it at, and then they will then just set the release date based on that. But that would be my guess. It feels like that kind of movie that they would try to be strategic about.
Yeah.
Or maybe they want to hold it until it'd be like the Complete Unknown of this year, where they want to hold it until December.
Yeah. Or they could do a Killers of the Flower Moon and be like, this isn't right. And then they wait a whole year before they set it out. But probably not. I think it's coming out, Antonio. All these movies are coming out and they're all going to be great. That's part of the magic of the hype draft.
Yes, everything's possible.
I have my
piece of paper what we think PT's going to pick right now.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Oh, that's fun.
That'd be fun. So while you do that,
yeah.
While you do that, I get to vamp a little because there's something I wanted to say, which is I do tiers. Like I kind of list things in tiers and I did it actually by like what I'm excited about, not really thinking about the balance of my team, so to speak, my roster. And I had a clear top 6, and I have 3 of that top 6, and 2 of them are still available. Now, having all of them wouldn't quite make sense anyway, because I should have had a little bit more balance. But I do need to choose, I think, between these 2. And
all right, tell us when you've decided, and then we will.
I've decided. Yeah, no, I decided before we started. I just was.
So everyone want to hold
up. We'll say, yeah. You guys show great. Oh, okay. No one's right, but it was both Antonio and Greg for had Marty Supreme, Safdie, which is there. It's there. It's on my second tier. It was on that second tier.
I have something to say about why I didn't pick that movie in a minute. Go ahead.
Okay. And then Jen had Begonia, which is the new Yorgos movie with Emma Stone, right?
Yorgos is your guy. Yeah.
He's my guy, but also like I got to mix it up from year to year. I don't want to always go back to that well. And maybe I was burned by Kinds of Kindness because no one else liked it but me. So that's fair. Now that said, both of those movies would be great choices if some of these other movies were off the board. But I feel like this is a positive year for movies, so I feel good about this. The other movie I did not pick, which Greg made fun of earlier, but I am legitimately excited about, is Avatar: Fire and Ash. I always go and see these movies. I always have a great time. I don't think about them again. I don't like watch them I don't throw them on Disney Plus, but like I am legitimately excited to go and have another experience watching these movies in the theater. Not with Jasmine, because she's like, no, thank you. She's out on all of them, and that's fine. But yeah, these movies are really good. If this other movie hadn't been taken, I would maybe take this and try to really secure a box office position between Mission Impossible and Avatar: Fire and Ash. But instead, I am going to go with the Spike Lee movie Highest to Lowest, which is like Jen's movie, also a remake. It is a remake of the Akira Kurosawa movie High and Low, which I thought maybe Greg would be able to guess I was going to pick this because I did just log High and Low late last night because I had never watched it. And I was like, I should watch this before I decide that I'm going to pick this. And High and Low is an absolute masterpiece. Everybody should watch it. Akira Kurosawa did a present or contemporary noir in the early 1960s. And guess what? It's amazing. You'd be shocked that he could do that. Just kidding. You wouldn't be shocked. He's a great filmmaker. But it also feels like a movie that could transpose really well to the 2020s in America. So even though Spike Lee has a dodgy track record of one bad movie adapting a beloved Asian classic in Old Boy, I do feel confident that this could work really well. The premise of the movie, the starting point, I guess, of the movie is a high-level businessman involved in like dealings and trying to do like a takeover of the company he works for, and is like really leveraging himself financially. Someone tries to kidnap his son, but accidentally kidnaps the child of his chauffeur. And then he has to decide, am I still going to pay the ransom, even though it's not my child? It's my employee's child. And the main person in the original movie is Toshiro Mifune. And in this movie, it's going to be Denzel Washington. And that sounds incredible. The other people in this cast include Ice Spice and A$AP Rocky. A$AP Rocky has been described as the main character, which makes me think he's the lead detective investigating this. But also in the movie is Jeffrey Wright, which makes me think he's the older detective who is partnered with the younger detective, which means it's going to be Jeffrey Wright and A$AP Rocky as the grizzled veteran and the brash young cop trying to figure this out, with Denzel Washington like brooding around them. So yeah, this is all based on an Ed McBain book from the late 50s. The hype has been really good. This is an A24 Apple Original Films co-production. It is going to be premiering not in competition, but premiering at Cannes in May, and then supposedly coming out sometime in the fall, with a big push for this is Spike Lee's time. This is going to be Spike's movie to finally get him director, finally get him picture, and maybe get Denzel his third Oscar. So I'm pretty excited. Again, maybe recency bias because I just watched the original, but I was already hearing really good things. I was already liking the concept of what the story could be. And now that I've seen it and sort of had a little time to think about it, I'm like, oh, this could be right up their alley, and this could be executed quite well. So I'm very excited for this highest to lowest, Mr. Irrelevant of our 2025 hype draft.
I'm a lot more excited for this now that you talked about it. I think I just didn't really know. Yeah, I would have seen it either way because it's Denzel Washington and Spike Lee, but like now that you described the premise, I'm more in.
Yeah. The first act of the Kurosawa movie is a one-act play that has like 10-minute takes. And this like the blocking is incredible. It's in this like super fancy like Japanese version of a modernist house. And it's just like the camera movement and the actor movement is all incredible. Really recommend go watch it. I know it's on Criterion. I think it's on Max as well. I recommend everyone watch it.
Wow. And that's it. So
that's it. Well, do we want to do
any
honorable mentions first and then read?
Oh, okay.
We don't have to. I don't know. I already said my Avatar one.
Yeah, I actually thought you were going to draft that, and then I was like, wait, what's happening? So that was a good fake out. I had that one on my list, and I was like, I should draft that because it's going to make boatloads of money. But then my heart was just not, and never bet against James Cameron, right?
Don't bet
That's the
against
other
Big
thing
Jim.
too. Yeah, Big Jim is the big picture calls him. So, but then my heart just wasn't in it as much as some of the picks I actually
No,
made.
that's
So,
fair.
but yeah, what are we surprised didn't make it on here?
I'm surprised no Marvel had drafted the Fantastic Four first.
I thought Jen would because she loves her
Okay,
Pedro.
so Fantastic Four movies are cursed. There are many of them, and none of them are good. So I while I am more optimistic about this one, the trailer looks good. I love a good mid-century vibe, right? I'm on board with the cast, but I'm still scared. I'm still scared for that movie because it is Fantastic Four. So, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say stretching is dumb. That's the problem, right? Like, and I laughed at the new Fantastic Four trailer because it was like at the very end they finally revealed that Mr. Fantastic stretches, and with Ms. Marvel, who also has stretching powers, they redefined that so that she could have a different power set. So I think stretching is dumb. That's why Fantastic Four movies don't work.
Looks great in the comics. Looks great in animation. Looks dumb on CGI on a human being. Agreed.
I'm surprised that no one picked The Ballad of a Small Player, Edward Berger's newest.
Oh yeah,
starring Colin Farrell and Tilda Swinton. I mean,
Mhm.
that was high on my list. The biggest one in terms of casting that I had that I couldn't draft because I didn't have a fifth pick was Father, Mother, Sister, Brother, Jim Jarmusch's newest. It stars Kate Blanchett and Adam Driver and Charlotte Rampling. It's the kind of like messy family drama that I typically like too, but I have a lot of that already on my slate.
I had that on my maybe list, but then it didn't make the can lineup, and everyone was like, "Oh, what does that mean?" So then I got scared and didn't put it on my list in the end.
Yeah, fair.
I'm actually really surprised no one picked Marty Supreme, which Greg and Antonio thought PT. And so here's my one reservation. I was all in on this movie. I was like, Timothée Chalamet doing another biopic. He's going through a transformation. He's wearing contact lenses to make his eyes look smaller. Let's go. It's a period piece, right? He's wearing like weird suits and glasses. You know what I mean? Like it was checking so many boxes for me. And then I started reading some of the interviews that Gwyneth Paltrow was doing for this movie. And I was like, maybe not. Because she was kind of like, I don't know if anyone remembers this news cycle, but she kind of was like, she had said some things about intimacy coordinators. And I was like, wait a minute. Like, if most of the movie is her and Timothée Chalamet, with weird romantic scenes that she seems to like have strange thoughts about, you know what I mean? Like I was just kind of like, maybe I should back away from this movie and wait and see. But it's hard to bet against Timothée Chalamet having a movie coming out in December. Like that always does well. So maybe I'll be wrong. And it's the notable thing about the slate for this year, which neither of these movies got drafted. Marty Supreme is directed by Josh Safdie, who split up from Benny Safdie, who was making The Smashing Machine, which I didn't necessarily expect anyone to draft. Does anyone know about this movie? What this movie is?
It was off
release.
my list, but I wrote it down.
Okay, yeah. So it's an A24 movie. So I thought maybe Greg, but I was like, I don't know if anyone in this group is that into wrestling. But it's Dwayne. It's supposed to be kind of Dwayne Johnson's Oscar bait movie, where he has a lot of prosthetics and transforms into this real life wrestler and MMA fighter, Mark Kerr. Emily Blunt plays his wife. Let's help Emily Blunt be in a movie where she's not somebody's wife. Like let's make that a thing. But apparently they became besties on the set of Jungle Cruise. So now they're making this movie. I don't know. It seems crazy. But the Safdie brothers are significant directors, I feel like. And so the fact that they're splitting up is interesting.
Following the Coens lead.
Right. Which I guess hasn't worked out that well. People just want them to get back together. So maybe it's not a smart choice.
I think the Coens aren't they? Aren't they like doing a movie together after the next
maybe
Ethan Coen movie comes out?
I don't know what it is though.
I don't either. The movie that I had highest up that I'm realizing now that I'm looking at it, I was like, I guess I'm the only one who would actually maybe have picked it, although it is A24 and an A24 dude. So maybe Greg could have done it. Is Eddington by Ari Aster, which is a COVID era set, new Western in a small town in New Mexico, but it's Joaquin Phoenix, Pedro Pascal, Emma Stone, and Austin Butler in some sort of small town shenanigans. And looks good. Like the trailer I thought was really interesting. I've enjoyed Ari Aster's movies. Maybe enjoys a strong word, but like I think I've taken them in the way they're supposed to be taken in, and so I thought that was in the conversation. I'm not surprised, but I think it is notable. It doesn't seem anyone really was spending too much time thinking about Superman, the other big superhero movie of the year.
I'm not optimistic about that. I don't know what was going on with the last trailer they released.
It's tough.
There's too much writing on it. Like I just didn't want to touch it. Yeah. As much as I want it to be good, and would be excited to have good Superman movies. Yeah. For like.
And the last thing, good news for Greg. There's 2 Predator movies coming out this year. One animated and one live action. I thought we might be vying for those, but I guess Predator Badlands and Predator the animated one I didn't write down will have to just go unhyped for now.
Did anyone
an alien TV show, right?
Yeah.
So we're
Aliens on Earth finally.
Let the record show. I thought Prey was phenomenal. Yeah. Watch it in the indigenous language. It's so good. Yeah. Really good time.
Badlands, they're both directed by the same Daniel Trachtenberg, who directed Prey. Badlands is the same, I think, even like production crew on it, which like if it had been what I initially heard Badlands was going to be, I would have been really excited, which it was going to be another historical time period in a different part of the world. I had heard Samurai Japan was going to be, and then a predator comes down and stuff happens. But instead, it's a movie where Earth young woman is on the predator planet. And I'm like, I don't want to see that's. We already had Predators in 2010, starring 2-time Academy Award winner Adrian Brody. So I don't know why they're going back to that. So I'll go see it. I'm very excited. Unlike Greg, I do like the earlier Predator movies, but I liked Prey a ton. That movie was great. So I hope the new one is also good.
Did anyone have a Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey on their list? That was probably next on mine. So this
Coconada.
Coconada is great. I loved After Yang. I want more people to see his movies. Apparently, he's been directing a bunch of TV, including an episode of The Acolyte, I believe. If I don't remember which one, but so this movie got pretty good buzz coming out of CinemaCon. Which, if you've heard us mention this a bunch of times, we should have explained it earlier. But CinemaCon is basically a convention, but specifically put on by the movie theater owners or movie theater companies. It's and it's to hype everyone else in the industry up about the slate for not just this coming year, but a couple of years down the road. So
put on for movie theater owners, not put on by movie theater owners. So it's the trade groups putting it on to impress all the small town theaters so they book the movies for the year.
PT says Coconada did the 2 flashback episodes in the Acolyte. Oh, nice. So anyway, this movie is Colin Farrell, Margot Robbie, and it's supposed to be a romance fantasy, and it sounds like it could get really weird, which made me more intrigued. And it has, I think it stars in the supporting cast Jodie Turner-Smith, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Hamish Linklater, and this is also, I believe, is this like also Neon? I can't remember. No, this is Sony. And then the score is by Joe Hisaishi, who does a bunch of Miyazaki movies. So, I don't know. This seemed good.
I just want to note, I think we've hit everything on my list. I think we actually did a pretty bad job at the top 10 on the box office this year. Maybe Wicked will get up in there. Maybe Mission Impossible, although we'll see how much the last one depressed turn out. But Jurassic World will probably also be very high. And I would not be at all interested in that movie, period, except Gareth Edwards, who directed Rogue One, directed The Creator. I kind of trust him. So I'll be there, but it was certainly not something I was hyped enough. Avatar will also be at the top of the box office list, although it'll make most of its money in 2026, but that doesn't really matter. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be shocking if Antonio doesn't take the box office just based on Wicked alone. And potentially Life of Chuck could be a movie that gets, close to $100 million if it's successful. It could
I feel
also...
like if they can market that movie correctly, I think it would be tricky. But if they can market it for more of a mainstream audience, you have the cast for it.
Yeah.
And if you market it as like a word of mouth, kind of like the feel good movie of the year, it's supposed to be described as life affirming, right? Like, so I feel like if they get that out there and people are talking about it, it could take off potentially. But it would have to have that kind of sort of kismet kind of marketing campaign that hit at the right time. But Antonio, was there any other movies that you were surprised that we didn't pick or that you wanted to give a shout out for? Because I know we just
there was only for box office, I thought maybe 28 years later. I thought someone might have picked that. That looks interesting. The trailer does look really good, and it's been watched by a lot of people. So I think that's going to do good box office. The other movie that I considered taking was Kiss of the Spider Woman, the Bill Condon movie with Diego Luna and Jennifer Lopez. But I didn't want two musicals on my slate. So I figured maybe someone else would take it.
Has anyone acquired that movie yet? Because I think that was the problem coming out of Sundance, is that people thought they were asking for too much money because they had to spend a bunch of money on Jennifer Lopez, presumably.
It says Lionsgate.
Oh, okay.
On
Wikipedia. So nobody wanted it, and they swooped in.
Yeah, it's got a release date of October 10th. Lionsgate, Roadside Attractions, and LD Entertainment.
Hey, it's not ketchup. We're there. It's okay. All
right, are we ready to read off our lists?
Sure. I drafted first, so I'll go first. My 4 movies I drafted in the 2025 movie hype draft are Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, One Battle After Another, Materialists, and Highest to Lowest. Antonio?
I drafted second. So my movies were Wicked for Good, Jay Kelly, The Life of Chuck, and Hamnet. Greg, how about you?
I drafted third and will be winning this year again with number 1, The Phoenician Scheme, number 2, Wake Up Dead Man, number 3, The Mastermind, and number 4, The History of Sound. 4 movies that will be at the top of the box office, guaranteed. Jen, what did you pick?
I went last, and I picked Frankenstein, After the Hunt, Sentimental Value, and The Running Man. I can't believe we're ending this on The Running Man, but so it is.
Also potential box office breakout.
That's true.
I would say. Yeah. That might be the third highest grossing movie on this list.
Do we have it now that we're looking at all of our picks together on this grid? Do we have any overall thoughts? Any observations?
See you all at the LTRs. These are like that's the brand, and I'm here for it.
Right now it feels like we could have like across the span of maybe like 10 movies, there could be like 3 out of any of those 10 that might become serious Oscar contenders next year, as well as serious LTR contenders. So yeah, I think maybe we shied away a little bit from box office and went a little bit more prestige this go around, which I think that's fine. I don't think that's a bad thing, but yeah, we left money on the table for credibility.
Which is not what I thought when we started, because the first 2 picks indicated that we really did care about box office.
It's true.
Which is really funny. I think that we did a really good job of, obviously hindsight's 2020. So next year, who knows what I'm going to be saying. But at least for now, it looks like we did a really good job of staying true to ourselves and our own taste, but still picking things that we think other people would really like and that will be successful in some way. So I'm liking this a lot. Box office be damned.
Well, the thing is like Jurassic World doesn't need us to hype it up, right?
That's true.
So yeah. I'm glad we spent this time talking about these films that Doing research for this made me excited for this coming year. So I think that serves a more vital function to our listeners than for us to say, like, the zombie movie, this 28 one's probably going to do pretty well. Let's talk about that for 10 minutes. I don't think we need that. I'll happily do the review for it, but I don't think we need to hype it.
Well said.
No animation, I believe.
Oh,
which is interesting. Like, it's a weak year for Pixar. I don't know what else, like DreamWorks. I don't think there are any Minions coming. I know PT's a big Minion head.
I'm looking up right now because usually I'm the one who's like trying to represent animation on the show, and I came up empty-handed.
Again, it's Predator: Killer of Killers. That's the animated Predator anthology that's coming out.
That's the new Minion movie? Weird name. They're going in a different direction.
Banana.
So Greg mentioned Elio, which I haven't heard anything good about that yet.
No.
And then I think the problem is that we're getting the How to Train Your Dragon live action, which is still somehow counting on animated because the dragon still has to be animated. What are we doing?
Also, Lilo and Stitch, same story.
Oh, that's true. So, that was, I think, I was listening to The Town, and they were saying that would be a smart draft pick, just because it's going to make tons of money because it's hitting at the right time for the nostalgia of people our age. And I'm one of these people, but I on principle do not want to draft any live action Disney movies. That seems like the wrong move. But I think they're expecting a lot of people to go see it just because they love the original animated movie, and that it's like the people have grown up with that movie are now primed to go see the live action version. So that might be the big summer blockbuster. I think Filmcast, they do their summer movie wager, which may have happened already. I haven't listened to it, but they were also talking about Lilo and Stitches, I think, potentially being a good cash cow pick. Yeah, what's going on with animation? Like, what is the animated category at the Oscars going to look like? I'm now panicking.
I mean, we got to see what the international scene looks like.
Yeah.
Netflix will come out with some handcrafted stop motion animation movie that people
Smurfs
like.
movie. There's a SpongeBob movie. Yeah, this is the problem. Is like it's all like leftover IP. Zootopia 2. Okay,
that's another Thanksgiving release.
Yeah, I'll have to do more research on this. But yeah, for now, animation looking bleak for 2025.
Not a lot of hype for the animation slate.
Yeah. All right. Okay. This was really fun. And I agree with Antonio. Watching trailers, the ones that are available. Also, first of all, just as an aside, stop making AI fake trailers, people.
It's dark.
It really made this hard.
Yeah.
Because I would check to see if there was a trailer for something on my list. And then it would look like there was. And then, it clearly wasn't. So let's stop doing that, internet, please. I kindly ask you. Anyway, Antonio, I agree with you. This was really fun to prep for. It got me more excited for this year in movies than I would have been otherwise. So thank you for joining us. Where can people find you? And I know there's only one place.
Find me on Letterboxd at Elefano, AELEFANO. Greg, where can they find you?
People can find me on Letterboxd at EyonCanon, EYEONCANON, where I am about to log La Chimera, starring Josh O'Connor, as soon as I go upstairs and finish it. Hey, I'm gonna do something unexpected here and interrupt and take a point of personal privilege. I don't think I'm a very good teacher and professor, but whatever I have in me that is good came from 3 people in my life, one of whom leads this podcast, and I'm pointing at her Zoom window. But I also, I had a mentor when I was a first year in college who taught me kind of what the humanities was and taught me to love literature and taught me to think about the world outside the small town that I grew up in. And I lost her this week. So I just want to give a shout out to the humanities professors who are out there, who are doing the good work and fighting the good fight to create those of us, like the 4 of us on this podcast, who love good films and who love good books and who love good art. And those things matter right now more than we could possibly, underestimate. So I just want to encourage you all to go enjoy a bit of art in the name of all that is good in this world. PT, try to follow that up. Where can people find you?
You can find my inane shallow blather on Letterboxd at PT McNiff, at PTMCNIFF. You can also find the show on Letterboxd at LTR Pod. You can find us on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at The Long Take Review. You can email us, thelongtakereview@gmail.com. You can also subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And I jumped into all of that, but I co-sign all the good things that Greg said about art and beauty in the world. And condolences, Greg, on you having lost your mentor. Jen, close us out. Where can folks find you? What are you up to?
Well, first of all, Greg, thanks for sharing that so much. And I think the sentiment, hopefully, if you like listening to us, hopefully that message resonates. I'd like to think so. You can find me on Instagram and Threads and Blue Sky at Sobchakchai, SOPCHOCKCHAI. And you can find me on Letterboxd at Qui-Gon Jen.
Real ones who are still here at the end of this podcast. This is a fantastic episode to help us promote, because this is like a chance for people who always say to us, I haven't seen that movie yet, or I'm catching up with it late. So if you could do, I'm talking to you, Hasib, I'm talking to you, Sarah Hastings, I'm talking to you, other people, Daz, I'm talking to you, Anthony. If you could share this around a little bit, that would really help us out, because this is one of our favorite episodes of the year, and it really is a great opportunity for people to give us a try. So we don't make that ask a lot, but that's an ask from the bottom of our hearts to you, all the good people who are loyal to us, despite us being kind of terrible in most ways. Thank you.
And also, if you have your own picks, please share them with us. We want to know what you're excited about, what you're hyped for, why we maybe chose poorly and you chose wisely. So you can hit us up on social media, or when I post where I post the episode originally on Substack, there's a comment section. You're welcome to kind of share all your picks there. But please, we want to hear from you. Is there a sound effect for hype draft, Greg? Like what's
just Josh O'Connor grimacing at the screen? The
just
year of
smoldering.
O'Connor, we're just living it.
Now I understand. If you're watching La Chimera, like you've now been steeped in the brilliance that is Josh O'Connor. That's why you picked 3 out of 4 Josh O'Connor movies.
I really wanted to find a fourth, but I think he tapped out at 3. So
long live Josh O'Connor.
You could have done 3 from him. You could have done 3 from Pedro Pascal. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's some other
busy
people, but that was probably
two mezcals. I don't think there's a third mezcal out there.
Yeah. You could have done 2 of the Pascals and 2 of the mezcals.
Well,
probably wouldn't have been bad.
Thanks for listening. You can follow The Long Take Review on Substack at thelongtake.substack.com. Subscribe for free, and you'll be the first to know when a new episode drops. You'll also receive written reviews of new films with Oscar buzz, as well as any new installments of pop franchises like Star Wars and Marvel.